veal portobello or veal cremini with shiitakes. We're going to do a veal with port wine sauce. Really nice. You're going to have a lot of fun with this one. Meat gets its flavor from its marbling or from fat. Veal is a very low-fat meat. It's great health-wise. However, it doesn't have a ton of flavor. So we need to add flavor to this. We need to bring it alive and get it just so incredible that when people eat it, it just melts in their mouth. Melting in your mouth is another thing. People like tender veal. You almost have to cut it with a fork. I always say if you go out to dinner and you have to use a knife for your veal, it's not tender enough. So tenderizing a piece of meat, in this case veal, is a very simple process by taking plastic wrap, and this is the first thing we're going to start with. We've pounded this all down, but I just want to show you really quickly. Put plastic wrap on either side because as you hit it, it kind of flies all over the place, and that doesn't look sightly on the cameras. So we're going to put a little plastic wrap, and not too hard. We're doing it gentle. This is a very thin piece of veal, and you could cut down your own veal. Yes, you can, but you order it pounded and already pre-cut, and it's going to come out very thin. And like a typewriter, starting from the top, we're just going to simply pound down and then start again, overlapping. And then a little bit more. Ching. You get the idea, if you like. So to prepare this wonderful veal dish, we have, and you saw me cleaning off a cremini mushroom. These are baby bellas or baby portobellos. Everybody's seen the big bellas. This is a baby bella or a cremini, and we also have some shiitake mushrooms, my favorite mushroom. Earthy, flavorful. They beat button mushrooms by far. So we have our pan heating up. We have our veal going. We're going to add some portobello wine. That's right there. Garlic, salt, extra. Put that in there, and that looks nice. And some cream. We also have pepper. Simple, very simple ingredients. So let's take about 3 of these pieces. We dredge them in pre-seasoned flour. Can't stress that enough. Season as you go, and you'll make some great dishes that way. Don't over-season, just season as you go and taste as you go. So let's get these 3 ready. All right, add a little olive oil to our pan, as we love to do. Bingo. Make sure that pan is nice and hot. All right, so let's get these in here. That's nice and hot. This is going to sear on rather nicely. We'll get it in the oil and bring it over. Get this in the oil and bring that side over. Look at that. Veal also shrinks up. So for those of you with hearty appetites, one thing you want to stay away from is having just like 1 or 2 pieces. There you go. When I say quickly, it's going to be quickly. We talk about caramelizing. You're going to let these caramelize on one side, then you're going to flip them over. We add our ingredients. Garlic, adding later. It's really important in how we cook. So let's flip this over. You could already see how nice that's getting a nice little hint of brown on certain spots. You see how it's shrinking up in the pan. You don't want it to shrink too much or cook too much. If you overcook veal, it'll get tough also, so you want to stay away from that. So let's throw our mushrooms on top of that. Let's throw our garlic. Add flavor to veal. If you like garlic, just add it. It's not going to hurt it. You know, I have a father-in-law who loves garlic ice cream. How bad could that be? So we'll add a little salt. We add some fresh pepper. And then let's get this baby really cooking by adding a little wine to it. Get that out of our way. Port wine, red wine, burgundy, you name it. Port adds just the sweetness that we want for this dish. So let's get this up nice and high. Hey, let's get that up nice and high. A couple more mushrooms because we love mushrooms. We'll get those out of the way. You see how quick this dish is? That veal is ready. It is totally ready. All we need to do is just reduce the wine. Oh, it's beautiful. I mean, you hit port on top of anything. Whether this was a chicken dish or a veal dish, the sweetness from the port automatically jumps right out at you. There's very few flavors that top what we're doing right now. We're going to just move these around in the port so it reduces nicely. Let the mushrooms cook down. Let me get the plate we're going to serve it on, and then we're going to add our cream to it. Now, what type of veal should you use? Should you spend a lot of money on veal? The more you spend on the veal, the better quality of meat you're going to use. However, one thing you have to be careful about is not ruining it. So if you're experimenting with veal for the first time, my suggestion is start with more inexpensive, middle-of-the-road type veal, okay? Because you're going to get good quality, but if you make a mistake, you're not going to feel bad that you spent $15 on a piece of meat that you're throwing away. So we reduced our wine out just a little bit. Let's add some cream to this right now. We're going to let that reduce too. So veal will go great over just about anything. I like serving it over fresh spinach because the mushrooms and the spinach just really go extremely well together, and that cream is just going to work out great on there. Oh, port wine. Doesn't get better than that. So we're going to let that reduce just a little bit. Reducing of sauces is one of the things that I always like to touch on. You want the sauce to be of a saucy consistency, especially when you're cooking a meat in it. Now, if you feel that the sauce didn't reduce enough to what your needs were, and in this case it didn't, I'd like it to reduce a little more, but I don't want my veal to overcook, well, this is the point where you take your veal out. I want it to be tender. I want it to be fork tender. I want people to just say, I don't need a knife for this. I'm going to go right into it, and it's going to be delicious. So let's just take our veal out and reduce our sauce just a little bit more. And then we're going to put it over the top. If you like your mushrooms cooked more, I'll let them reduce a little bit more. I like them just to have a nice little crunch and consistency to them. That's where it's going to be fun. And I think we're right about there. Ta-da. And me without a fork. Can you believe it? But vitello or veal portobello, or in this case cremini, with a port wine sauce, finished off in one pan, one saute item. Throw a little, oh, you know what my favorite herb for this is? If you could only find it in my little mixture here. Little rosemary. Look at the size of this thing. Imagine bringing this to the table. You have company over, and you say, oh, I'm coming right out with your dish. Do you think they'll be happy? I think so. Veal, mushrooms, port wine, cream, salt, pepper, garlic. Doesn't get easier than that. Enjoy.